Hey there! Welcome to my publishing house! What's that? You have a manuscript for us to have a look at? Let's have a look then! Aha! What have we got here? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. All work and no play. Yes, look, we'll take this manuscript off your hands. Leave your payment details with the receptionist out the front, and we'll be sure to forward you 50 cents for every copy we sell. Excellent. Thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Now, let's see. Let's get rid of that. No good. No, that's no good. No. This is going to take a lot of work. Wait a minute. Do I look a bit like Walter Wright? So today we're going to talk about the two main ways that you can get your book published here in Australia. The first way, of course, is traditional publishing, and that's the method that's been used for many, many years. Until, of course, recent times where technology has gotten to a point and certain companies have allowed authors to publish themselves, and that's option 2, self-publishing. So let's talk about traditional publishing first. What are the pros and what are the cons? By far, the biggest pro is that all you have to do as a writer is write. Once you have your story finished, you simply hand it to the publisher and it's done. Herein lies a quick con, but an important one nonetheless. Once you hand it off to the publisher, they can do anything they want with your story. They can take pieces out, they can add pieces in, they can change your story around to the point where it may not resemble your initial artistic idea or creative intent. Another pro, they do everything. They do the editing, they do the layout, they do the book covers, they do the printing. Most importantly, they do the distribution. One of the biggest pros of using a traditional publisher is their distribution power. They can get your book into brick and mortar stores all around the world. And that's good. It means that you sell more hard copies of your book than if you perhaps used the self-publishing way. So, one of the biggest negative points of using a traditional publisher is the fact that you may actually end up losing your rights to the story. When a publisher offers to buy your story, they're effectively buying the entire product and owning the rights. It's a bit like if you buy a car, you own the car, right? The original owner doesn't own it anymore. And in place of that, you receive a payment per unit of books sold. Which leads us to our next negative point of a traditional publisher is the royalties. Usually, from my research, I find that you don't get a lot of money per unit book sold. The other downside is future rights. That is, think about possible movie or TV applications of your story. Again, you're not going to see any money. The movie house or the TV network will pay the person who owns the rights. So before we move on to self-publishing, I want to talk about one more negative point regarding traditional publishing. It's quite difficult to get your story in the hands of a publisher if it's your first novel or if you are unrepresented. Most publishers will only deal with authors that have an agent. So you will need to hire yourself a literary agent if you want to stand a good chance of getting your story to a traditional publisher. That is a decision that you're going to have to make for yourself. Oh yeah. Coffee. Okay, so now on to the juicy bit. The part that you have all been waiting for, I'm sure. Self-publishing. So, welcome to the world of self-publishing, and for me, there's a lot of pros to this process. One big con. You have to do everything yourself. And that's no joke. Everything. Okay? So, not only do you have to write the story, but you have to publish it as well. Now, I was deciding what part of my series I wanted to slot this next subject into, and I thought it best to discuss first of all the two types of publishing, because that leads us onto a very important thing that you're going to have to do, and that is to have your story edited. Now, I'm going to leave that for another part, and that will be part 3, because it's such a big topic and it's the most important part of this whole process. Okay, so first of all, the pros. The biggest pro for me is that you have complete creative control over the entire process, and I mean everything. Writing the story, the way in which it's edited, how the book is formatted, so how does the story look inside when you open the cover, which leads us to our next part, the actual cover itself, the cover of your book. The big selling point of your story is going to be your cover, and I'll cover that in another part as well. So you have to do absolutely everything, but you have complete creative control to a point. You're going to have to become an expert on so many aspects of publishing, and this is where a lot of my research has taken me, and the advice that I'm giving to you is based on that. I've had to become an expert on how to format my story once it's back from the editor, how to lay out your pages and what programs to use. I've had to research what types of font are used, what size font is used, how many pages are optimal as in regards to the actual physical publishing of the book, and we'll discuss that shortly. I've had to become an expert on Photoshop because I'm also doing my own book cover. So, and not only that, I've also had to become an expert on marketing, a very important part of the process, and again, that will be devoted to probably an entire episode further down the track. So that leads us on to some of the cons of self-publishing, and I've already discussed most of them. The biggest con is you have to do everything yourself. So it's a catch-22. You have complete creative control. You get to do everything yourself. But the negative side of that is you do have to do everything yourself. That's not entirely true. I would recommend, if you're not skilled in any of these areas, or you don't have the time or patience to learn Photoshop or how to format your story properly, you should consider hiring experts to do that for you. So that's one of the cons. Money. It's going to cost you money. You have to pay for your book to be formatted. You have to pay the graphic artist to do your cover. You have to pay your editor. And depending on which self-publishing house you go to, there are also some costs associated with that side of it. And I'll be covering that in a future video because it's a very complex decision to make, actually, which self-publisher will I use, because there's quite a few. Okay, so now to the really good part. One of the biggest pros of the self-publishing process: money. You're going to get more money per unit of books sold or ebook if you self-publish compared to a traditional publisher. So way up about $1.60 if you're lucky, up closer to $2 per book against perhaps $5 or $6 per book. Bit of a difference, right? So basically, they're the pros and cons for self-publishing. As I discussed, I will go into certain topics further in future videos. So please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification to stay up to date. So there we go, part 2 done and dusted. Now please stay tuned for part 3 that will be coming soon. We're going to talk all about editing, the single most important part outside of actually writing the book. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. There's a lot of good tips there. They're going to be the most biggest, most beautiful tips you've ever seen in your whole life. Yes, I said tips, not the other word. So I'm going to have some great tips for you, some good advice, and I look forward to seeing you there. So please, leave a comment down below if there's anything you want me to cover in future videos. To Uncle Nubby, KDP is coming, that is Kindle Publishing. It's coming in a future video, I promise. But thank you for your comment. To everybody out there who's already subscribed, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Again, I'm here for you guys. I want to help, and if my experiences and my research can help you out, then this has all been worthwhile. Believe me, this does take quite a bit of effort, a lot of time, but it's something I feel strongly about, and I'm here to help. So until next time, I've been Scott. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.